My name is Guido Gryseels. I'm Director General of the Royal Museum for Central Africa. Welcome to our museum, and I'd like to tell you in a few words why this museum is so special to me. I grew up in a nearby village called Elsenburg, and on weekends my parents often brought me here for a walk around. So Africa is already very early in my youth became a very important part of my life. Later on, after my university studies, I moved to Ethiopia, where I worked for more than 8 years doing field research with smallholder farmers in the Ethiopian highlands. I also did a lot of work in Rwanda and Burundi. So the fascination for Central Africa has been with me from very early on. And that's why I was so honored and privileged to be able to take on the position of Director General of this fantastic museum. This museum building is now more than 100 years old, and the storyline still dates from before the decolonization of Africa and the independence of Congo in 1960. So, some people say that we're the last colonial museum in the world. We want to become a window on contemporary Africa, and therefore our permanent exhibition needs to change dramatically. We will change it in a thematic way, and we will make sure that our museum in the future focuses on the Africa of today and its problems and challenges of tomorrow. Also, the infrastructure is very outdated. Today, when people visit the museum, they'd like to have a good restaurant, a shop, meeting places, and an auditorium. We can't build that in the current building because it's a protected monument. So therefore, we need to improve our infrastructure, change the contents, and modernize the museography. Our museum will close on the 2nd of December 2013, and we will reopen mid-2017. After the renovation, the museum will be profoundly different from what it is today. First of all, in infrastructure. We will add a new building, the Welcome Pavilion, as we call it. That's where you will buy your ticket, but where we also will have a fantastic restaurant, a shop, meeting places, auditoria, and from there you will be guided to the museum through an underground gallery, which will have new exhibition spaces with climate control. There will also be a special gallery, which we can use in a variety of ways, including for theater and for film. That will bring you to the museum building. And in the museum itself, we will have a totally new permanent exhibition, which will be very thematic. It will address themes illustrated with our wonderful collections around arts, around biodiversity, about mineral resources, about societies, and of course also about colonial history, because we don't want to cut our links with the past. During the closure of this museum, we will continue our public-oriented activities. We will become a pop-up museum, and so our activities for schools and activities in the area of exhibitions will continue at other places in Belgium and abroad. Our educational activities will continue in places such as Beaux-Arts, Bellevue Museum, and the Museum for Natural Sciences. Our exhibitions will continue at different areas in Belgium, both in Wallonia and in Flanders. The Museum for Contemporary Art in Ostend, for example, the museum will welcome one of our exhibitions that we will produce jointly with them, as well as the Musée Grand Ornu, the Musée pour l'Art Contemporain. Our research activities will continue as they are today. And let's not forget, scientific research and collection management is 75% of our activities, and they will continue as before in the buildings on our site. Also, many museums abroad, several of them very prestigious and big ones, have asked for loans of our objects to organize exhibitions on themes so important to Central Africa. In the LACMA Museum of Los Angeles, there's currently an exhibition about our Luba masterworks. Musée d'Aper in Paris presents a variety of objects about initiation cultures. And in Florida, in October 2013, an exhibition was opened, KONGO Across the Waters, about the influence of KONGO cultures on the cultures of southeastern US. This exhibition will, after Florida, will travel to Princeton, to New Orleans, and to Atlanta. In Atlanta, we're organizing the Africa Atlanta Year 2014, together with Georgia Tech University and the Carter Center. So we all invite you to go and visit these magnificent exhibitions around the world. What I will miss most in this museum is the unique charm of this museum building. I try to visit this museum at least once a day, having a walk through, and every time again I was so moved by the hundreds of children that come here every morning to participate in our workshops. For most Belgian children, a visit to this museum is their first encounter with Africa. But I also will miss just walking through the collections, looking at the public, meeting our many devoted staff, and yet afterwards also to have a look at our magnificent park. It's going to be a very, very hard time for me over the next 3 or 4 years to live without my daily walk here in the museum building.